On Global TV News Prime, Vice President Kashim Shettima departs Abuja for Guinea's presidential inauguration. In business, Nigeria's inflation drops to 15% as food inflation declines. And on the foreign scene, Uganda Electoral Commission says presidential exercise was generally peaceful. In sports, CAF Puma unveils special AFCON 2025 final match ball. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Prime on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Jumai Manson. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Now the news in full. Vice President Kashim Shettima has departed Abuja to represent President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the inauguration of the Guinea's President Mamadi Doumbouya in Keneke. The Vice President is also scheduled to proceed to Davos, Costa, Switzerland to attend the 56th annual meeting of the World Economic Forum following the participation in the presidential inauguration. According to the statement issued by Senior Special Assistant to the President of Media and Communications Office of the Vice President Stanley Uwocha, the Vice President's attendance at the ceremony underscores Nigeria's strategic engagement in regional leadership, economic partnership, and global economic integration under President Tinubu's renewed hope agenda. The political tension in Rivers State has taken a dramatic turn as the State House of Assembly formally resumes impeachment proceedings against Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his deputy, pushing crisis into a decisive constitutional phase. Samuel Odi has the details.
The Rivers State House of Assembly has reignited the impeachment process against the governor and deputy governor, signaling an escalation in the ongoing power struggle between the legislature and the executive. Addressing journalists in Port Harcourt, the leadership of the Assembly dismissed claims that the move is politically motivated, insisting that the action is rooted strictly in constitutional responsibility. Lawmakers urged that the executive arm has persistently violated the provision of Constitution and failed to respect agreement previously reached to restore harmony in governance.
In a bid to gain or win sympathy for the governor or deputy governor, many who do not mean well for Rivers State or democracy simply reduce everything to disagreement between our political leader and the governor. The real problem is that the governor and his deputy are at war.
The Assembly further expressed disappointment over what it described as a rejection of peace efforts extended to the executive. According to lawmakers, the gesture was met with hostility, including alleged media attack orchestrated by aides of the governor, aimed at intimidating legislators and forcing them to abandon the impeachment process, now resumed for the third term.
During the pendency of this appeal, we found out that the governor and the deputy governor, they have all employed their media boys and aides to continuously attack the Rivers State House of Assembly.
Convinced that their strategy is to intimidate us into withdrawing the impeachment process for the third time while they continue their infractions on the Constitution and the law.
Lawmakers also condemned the attempt to reignite the constitutional dispute as an ethnic or tribal conflict, warning that such narratives are dangerous and capable of undermining national unity.
If all of us want peace, if we want justice, if we want a society that is ordered, then we must be subject to the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Following deliberations, the House, presided over by Speaker retired Honorable Martins, conducted a vote on whether to proceed with the impeachment investigation. 25 lawmakers voted in favor with no dissenting vote and no aberration. Invoking Section 188, subsection 5 of the 1999 Constitution, the Speaker announced that the resolution would be forwarded to the Chief Judge of Rivers State for the next stage of action.
By virtue of Section 188, subsection 5, I will ensure that the resolution of this House is immediately communicated to the Chief Judge of Rivers State.
The Chief Judge is now expected to constitute a 7-man panel to investigate the allegation against the Governor and Deputy Governor as impeachment process advances into its full constitutional course. Samuel Odi for Global Television News.
Meanwhile, 4 members of the Rivers State House of Assembly who recently withdrew from the impeachment proceedings against Governor Siminalayi Fubara have reversed their decision and declared support for the process. The lawmakers are the minority leader of the House, Savannah's Owonkwo, Peter Abe, representing the Gema constituency, Bali Owoka of Kana constituency 1, and Emilia Amadi of Obio Akpo constituency 2. Now, the lawmakers made the U-turn during a live broadcast aired from the front of Rivers State House of Assembly complex days after publicly calling for an amicable resolution of the political crisis rocking the state. Over now to the National Economic Council, NEC has approved the constitution of a committee to oversee the implementation of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's directive on the actualization of his administration's legacy projects, particularly the Lagos-Calabar and Sokoto-Badagry coastal highways. The resolution was reached at the 156th NEC meeting, the first of the year, held virtually. A statement signed by the Senior Special Assistant to the President's Media and Communications Office of the Vice President Stanley Owocha says the Council also resolved to deepen engagement with stakeholders to boost non-oil revenues in line with the economic blueprint of the Tinubu administration. The Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security has signed Memorandum of Understanding with the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture, IITA, aimed at improving soil health, boosting fertilizer efficiency, and strengthening Nigerians' drive towards food sovereignty. The agreement was signed at a ceremony in Abuja as part of the Presidential Soil Health Scheme. Speaking at the event, the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abubakar Kyari, said the partnership will transform soil management practices through data-driven fertilizer and crop recommendations, helping farmers improve yield while reducing production cost. He added that the collaboration will also address challenges such as soil degradation, erosion, and climate change using modern technology and improved land management systems. Also speaking, the Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi, explained that the MOU focuses on strengthening soil health and climate services, building national capacity through research and data systems, and promoting a regional model of cooperation across ECOWAS. He disclosed that soil testing laboratories will be established across all 774 local government areas to guide farmers on what to plant, where to plant, and the appropriate fertilizer to use. Workers employed by the Federal Capital Territory Administration have announced plans to shut down government offices across Abuja and its area councils as they commence a strike on Monday, January 19th, 2026. The decision was taken by the Joint Union Action Congress, which directed workers at all cadres within the FCT to withdraw their services following what it described as the authorities' failure to address long-standing labor and welfare demands. The public relations officer of the unions, Holina Adejo, confirmed the development to newsmen in Abuja. The strike is expected to affect all FCTA secretariats, departments, agencies, area councils, and parastatals effectively, granting government activities within the territory. Moving on now to the Supreme Court dismissed an appeal by Aminu Sule Lamido, son of former Jigawa State Governor Sule Lamido, challenging the forfeiture of $40,000 to the federal government. The 5-member panel of the Apex Court, led by Justice Inyang Okoro, ruled that the appeal lacked merit, affirming the decision of the lower court. In a unanimous judgment delivered by the Justice Adamu Jaoro and read by Justice Abubakar Sadiq Umar, The court said the appeal was doomed to fail and formally upheld the forfeiture of the funds to the federal government. The case dates back to December 11, 2012, when Aminu was arrested at Malam Aminu Kano International Airport while preparing to travel to Cairo, Egypt. He had declared $10,000 to the Nigerian Customs Service, but was found in possession of $50,000 in cash. The Nigerian Medical Association says cases concerning negligence by its member are only referred to regulatory agencies which deal with Code of Medical Ethics and National Health Act. Chairman of the association, FCT chapter, Dr. Emeka Ayogu, disclosed this in an exclusive interview with Global Television. Health correspondent Zara Nasru tells us more.
Doctor's negligence or medical malpractice is when a healthcare professional fails to provide the accepted standard of care, resulting in patient's injury, harm, or death, requiring proof of a duty of care. Common examples include misdiagnosis, surgical errors, and failure to get informed consent, leading to potential legal action or disciplinary measures. The Nigerian Medical Association FCT chapter says part of what they are doing to prevent the occurrence of doctors' negligence is creating awareness on the issue of medical ethics, educating members to be very vigilant and also follow the medical conducts while on duty.
Actually, it's a very pathetic situation when it happens, and the enemy has a body, of course, a body of doctors. We create awareness and also preach and remind people the issue of medical ethics. We periodically engage members to, be very, very vigilant, make sure they employ medical code conduct. Do you understand? And also make sure they operate based on acceptable standards.
Dr. Emeka Ayogu also says whenever such a case is found, the regulatory bodies will sanction, penalize, or suspend the doctor.
They will act accordingly. Of course, eventually, made in law courts. Sometimes Nigeria Medical and Dental Council will sanction them, penalize them, sometimes suspend them, withdraw their licenses, and occasionally copy to us an enemy.
Medical negligence is a growing concern in Nigeria, stemming from acts or omissions by healthcare professionals that fall below the accepted standard of care, leading to patients' injury or death. Zahra Nasr, reporting for Global TV.
Proper sanitation and environmental hygiene has been identified as critical in preventing the spread of Lassa fever. Dr. Aisha Ladan Musa of the Federal Medical Center, Abuja, who made this known in an exclusive interview with Global Television, emphasized that the best protection remains simple: hygiene and public awareness. Zara Nasser again tells us more.
Lassa fever is an acute viral illness and hemorrhagic fever caused by the Lassa virus. It is endemic to parts of West Africa, particularly Nigeria, Guinea, Sierra Leone, and Liberia. The virus is primarily transmitted to humans through contact with the urine or feces of infected multi-mammat rats or through direct contact with an infected person's bodily fluids. Dr. Aisha Ladan Musa of Federal Medical Center Abuja explained that raising community awareness and educating people on how the disease is transmitted remains essential strategies in reducing infections. The doctor said the greatest knowledge is knowing how to prevent Lassa fever, not just how to cure it.
The prevention goes beyond we individuals. It starts from awareness. Okay, so the most important thing in Lassa fever is community awareness. We have to inform educate the people on mode of transmission, the causal organism, and how it is transmitted from one to another. Because the greatest knowledge is how to prevent, is not how to cure. Yes, so outside that, also environmental and environmental factors also play a role, like sanitation.
In Abuja, some residents said they are already taking preventive measures by covering their food, maintaining good hygiene, and keeping rats away from their homes.
I know Lassa fever is a disease that causes harm to the human immune system. By making sure you're staying in a clean environment, because it's being transmitted by rats. So if you're living in an environment that is very dirty, they would easily have access to your environment, and then they would easily...
I know it's a disease caused by rodents that comes out of rats and it's related from the rat class. Avoiding deaths, because they come around deaths, they come, and when the time they also come around deaths, they feed on your food that you keep in your kitchen or wherever on your dining, and then you also have to also protect yourself from your dispenser.
I know it's one of the deadly fever that keep people fast, and I know it's introduced from rats. We're not keeping our food very well, we're not covering our food stuff or other things.
Public health issues pose a huge challenge in Nigeria, putting more pressure on the country's already overstretched healthcare systems. However, the outbreak of Lassa fever has further complicated the situation. Zahra Unasser, reporting for Global TV News.
Abubakar Abdullahi, the man of Neger village of Birnin Ladi local government area of Plateau State, who famously shielded 262 Christians during a violent communal attack, he died at the age of 90. Saleh Abubakar, the son of the deceased, confirmed his death, saying the cleric passed away on Thursday night at the Plateau Specialist Hospital in Jos. Former presidential aide Bashir Ahmed also confirmed the death in a post on X today, describing the late Imam as a man who exemplified Islamic teachings on the sanctity of human life and selfless service to humanity. You are watching the live broadcast of News Prime. News Prime continues after this weather forecast, plus business, foreign and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us.
Hello and welcome to the weather update. I'm Sefia Sayunusa, and here's a look at the weather conditions expected across the country. We begin in the northern parts of the country where visibility is expected to improve gradually by Saturday. However, slight dust hails will still prevail across the region. Moving into the north-central state, moderate dust hails is anticipated. There are chances of significantly reduced visibility over parts of Niger State. With the incursion of more moisture into the country, the south is expected to experience partly cloudy conditions. There is also a prospect of isolated thunderstorms over parts of Lagos, Edo, Bayelsa, Rivers, Delta, Akwa Ibom, and Cross River State. These storms may be accompanied by brief rainfall and gusty winds in some locations. And that's the latest weather outlook. Stay safe and stay informed. Thank you for watching.
In business now, Deputy Speaker, House of Representatives Benjamin Kalu has called for urgent collective action to fix the nation's food security challenges, warning that agriculture must move from margins to the center of Nigeria's development strategy. Speaking at the annual general meeting of the All Farmers Association of Nigeria, FM, and Abuja, the Deputy Speaker stressed that unity among farmers, government, and private sector is critical to transforming Nigeria's agricultural sector. National Assembly correspondent Anete Patrick completes the report.
Addressing the forum, Kalu described agriculture as a powerful tool for job creation, economic stability, and youth retention, noting that productivity gains in farming directly translate into national stability. He urged farmers to organize better, adopt modern technology, and increase productivity, while challenging government at all levels to engage more deliberately with agricultural stakeholders.
Organize, enhance technology, increase your productivity. You are not asking for charity. You are building wealth. building a nation, demand the infrastructure and services you deserve.
The Deputy Speaker also called on state governments to back their commitment with funding, recommending that at least 5% of states' budgets be allocated to agricultural infrastructure, driven by data and accountability. He did not spare the private sector, urging investors to take bold risks in processing, logistics, and market systems, while working with smallholder farmers as partners rather than vendors.
This is my charge to the state government. Allocate at least 5% of your budget to agricultural infrastructure. Implement the market mapping framework we have pioneered. Use data to target investments. Hold yourselves accountable for agricultural output and job creation in your states.
The Deputy Speaker stressed that Nigeria already has the resources, policies, and partnerships needed to achieve food security, but lacks unified will. With rising food prices and growing concerns over food access, the call places renewed pressure on stakeholders to move from rhetoric to results in securing Nigeria's agricultural future. Anieti Patrick, reporting for Global TV News.
The National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, says headlines inflation rate fell by 2.18% points to 15.15% in December 2025, from 17.33% in November 2025. Now, the NBS disclosed this in its Consumer Price Index (CPI) report for December 2025. Earlier this week, the Bureau adjusted its CPI methodology to clarify projected spike in Nigeria's December 2025 inflation figure, noting that the increase is a consequence of a technical methodology and not of deteriorating economic conditions. Meanwhile, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, has endorsed Nigeria's December 2025 inflation outcome and the reverse inflation methodology adopted by the National Bureau of Statistics, describing the changes as consistent with international best practice and supportive of macroeconomic stability. This was issued in a statement on behalf of the IMF resident representative for Nigeria, Christine Ibeke, by the office manager to the IMF resident representative for Nigeria, Laraba Bonnet. The statement stated that Nigeria's latest consumer price index data points to easing inflationary pressures, a development that could help lower the cost of living if the trend is sustained. The federal government has introduced a Nigerian industrialization policy, an initiative designed to drive value addition, industrial growth, and employment creation across the country. Minister of State for the Industry, John Eno, announced the policy during a soft launch in Lagos, held alongside the presentation of Nigerian Economic Summit Group Microeconomic Outlook Report for 2026. Approved by the Violated in 2025, the policy reflects a coordinated approach to industrialization, trade, and investment. Moving on now to the foreign scene, Uganda's electoral chief says the country's presidential election was generally peaceful, stating that vote counting has concluded in many areas. Electoral Commission chairperson Simon Bubakama announced this during an election update, a day after voting took place under an internet blackout and amid long delays caused by technical failures as 81-year-old incumbent President Yoweri Museveni seeks to extend his 40 years in power. Venezuelan opposition.
There have been widespread reports that biometric machines used to verify voters' identity were malfunctioning, which some have blamed on the government's decision to shut down the internet during the election. However,
Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Machado has met with United States President Donald Trump at the White House in Washington, D.C., making this her first face-to-face encounter since the U.S. military operation that led to the capture of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro earlier this month. The meeting was held privately without usual media conference as Trump and Machado discussed Venezuela's future amid ongoing political uncertainty. During the visit, Machado presented Trump with her 2025 Nobel Peace Prize model, a symbolic gesture recognizing what she called his support for Venezuelan freedom through the Norwegian Nobel Committee says prizes cannot be transferred. Moving on now on News Prime, in sports stories now, the Confederation Africaine de Football and technical partner Puma have unveiled a commemorative version of the Total Energy CAF African Cup of Nations Morocco 2025 official match ball ITRI ahead of Sunday's final. Host Morocco will face Senegal in a decider at Stade Prince Modli Abdullah kickoff to 8 o'clock local time at 19:00 GMT, where one team will be crowned new champions of Africa. According to a post obtained by CAF's website on Friday, the finalists will use a special edition of the official match ball featuring gold assets as a tribute to both teams. The Confederation African Football CAF has unveiled eAFCON, a digital version of the Total Energies African Cup of Nations, marking the organization's first foray into esports. CAF says the initiative is a key part of its commercial strategy developed in partnership with Konami through the game eFootball and aims to engage younger fans while diversifying revenue streams. The continental body describes eAFCON as a significant step to African esports ecosystem, signaling a bold expansion of African football into the gaming world. As Global TV News Prime comes to an end, let's take a quick look at our top stories again. Brought to you that Vice President Kashim Shettima has departed Abuja to represent President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the inauguration of Guinea's President Mamadi Doumbouya in Conakry. In business, the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, says headline inflation rate fell by 2.18% point to 15.15% in December 2025 from 17.33% in November 2025. And on the foreign scene, Uganda's electoral chief says the country's presidential election was generally peaceful, stating that vote counting was concluded in many areas. And in sports, the Confederation Africaine de Football and technical partner Puma has unveiled a commemorative version of the Total Energy CAF African Cup of Nations Morocco 2025 official match ball ITRI ahead of Sunday's final. That's it on News Prime. A quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen by using @Global TV NG. I am Jumai Manson. Thank you for watching.